The screen bleeds deep crimson as the Upside Down finally merges with Hawkins, the sky a swirling vortex of shadow and lightning where the clock tower's chime echoes like a funeral knell across the wasteland. We open on 11, her face etched with a mix of primal exhaustion and divine fury, standing at the precipice of the mega rift while the remnants of the party, Mike, Dustin, Lucas, and a battle-scarred Steve, huddle behind the rusted hull of a flipped school bus, the air thick with the smell of ozone and rotting vines. "It's not a doorway anymore. It's a grave," Mike whispers, his voice cracking as the ground trembles, and suddenly the colossal silhouette of the Mind Flayer rises, not as a cloud, but as a physical god of smoke and obsidian teeth, weaving through the skyscrapers of a distorted, dark Hawkins. 11 steps forward, her nose bleeding a steady stream of dark red, and she screams, a sound that isn't just a vocalization, but a psychic shockwave that shatters every window in a 3-block radius, signaling the start of the final stand. The camera plunges into the darkness of the rift, following the psychic trail back to Deep within the pulsing organic corridors of the hive mind, Nancy and Jonathan lead a frantic charge toward the central core, their flamethrowers casting long, dancing shadows against walls that breathe and moan with the collective pain of the lost. The air is so thick with spores, it feels like breathing ash, and every step triggers a sensory overload of psychic feedback, screams of the past echoing through the hallways of the Creel house, which has now become a literal heart of darkness. Back on the surface, the military's tanks are being tossed like toys by the colossal tentacles emerging from the earth. But the real war is happening in the silence between 11 and Vecna as they lock eyes in a mental wasteland that looks like a fractured version of the 1983 woods. "You were always the broken one, 11. Vecna sneers, his flesh a tapestry of scars and ancient spite, as he forces her to relive the deaths of Eddie, Billy, and Hopper's daughter, trying to drown her in the weight of her own grief. But then the connection sparks. Will Byers, standing at the edge of the battlefield, feels the cold chill at the back of his neck vanish as he finally turns his trauma into a weapon, realizing the white light fades into a haunting, hollow silence as the dust settles over the ruins of Hawkins. The mega rift finally sealed, but at a cost that leaves the air tasting of salt and sorrow. We see the survivors emerging from the wreckage, Dustin clutching Eddie's guitar pick, Lucas holding Max's hand as she finally opens her eyes to a world she can no longer see, but can finally feel, and Mike searching frantically through the fog until he finds 11 slumped against the base of the shattered clock tower. She is alive, but the glow in her eyes is gone, her powers burned out in the final cataclysmic blast that erased Vecna from existence and sent the Mind Flayer back into the primordial void. The government convoys move in to clean up the earthquake aftermath, but the people of Hawkins walk past them like ghosts, knowing the truth that will never be written in history books. A montage begins, set to a slowed-down orchestral version of Running Up That Hill, showing the slow, painful process of rebuilding. A funeral held in the woods for the unnamed fallen. Joyce and Hopper sitting on a porch in the fading sunlight, their hands intertwined and trembling, and the remaining members of the party sitting in the basement one last time, the empty chair where Will used to sit